So the first thing that we're going to talk about then, the first concept that we're going to talk about is the parts of the instrument. So on every instrument, you're going to find the handle, the shank, and the working end. There's really three main parts that you have to understand. So the handle is going to be this large area, that's where we're going to be placing our fingers. The shank is going to be the part of the instrument that runs from the handle to the working end, and then your working end is going to be this area of the instrument. So this is a curette. I'm going to pick up a scaler. You're going to find exactly the same thing. You're going to have your handle, your shank, and your working end. The difference between a curette and a scaler are going to be that the scalers, remember, have a cutting edge on both sides, and a curette is going to be, a Gracie curette is going to be area specific, so it's going to have a cutting edge on only one side. A scaler is going to be triangular in cross section, so it's going to come to a point, and that's going to be a tip. So a lot of times on a scaler we're going to refer to as a tip. On a curette, which is round and is going to be half circle in cross section, is going to be a toe. So a curette is going to be rounded, a scaler is going to be pointed. When you're looking at shanks, a lot of times you're going to hear the terms complex and simple. A complex shank is going to have bends in more than one plane, and a simple shank is going to have just one bend. So you're going to find yourself using the simple shanks in the anterior parts of the mouth and a complex shank in the posterior part of the mouth. So the bends are actually there to help you adapt to those posterior teeth more easily. The working end, if we take the working end, you're going to hear us a lot of times say the toe third. So we're referring to this working end, the toe third. So it's the first millimeter, couple millimeters of the instrument, and that's going to be your toe third. That's the part that is going to be adapted to the tooth. That's going to be the part that actually is used when you're doing calculus removal. So when we're talking about the instrument, the handle, and yours are going to be a thicker, wider handle, and that's designed to keep your fingers from fatiguing. There's going to be the shank, and then there's going to be the working end. Also, in a complex shank, especially in a complex shank, there's going to be, when we're referring to the shank, a lot of times this whole shank area is called your functional shank. So everything from here to your working end is your functional shank. The terminal shank is going to be that last bend before you get to that working end. So this part of the instrument is my terminal shank. And that's going to come into play when I'm trying to adapt my instrument to, so this is a complex shank, means that it's going to be in the posteriors. I'm going to take that shank and have it parallel with the long axis of the tooth. So that tells me that that instrument, that's the correct cutting edge, and it's a complex shank designed to get to those posterior teeth. And that part is what I'm looking at. So when you're looking at your instruments, you're looking for the terminal shank to be parallel with that long axis of the tooth.